Well, what are you waiting for? Come on. Okay, newsflash. I'm not gonna start cleaning up all this stuff. I'm just gonna make a list of it. I've already measured my pipes that I need. I measured my insulation. And that last piece of insulation is falling out because that last bay is like 18 inches wide, and they should have put one other TGI joist in there, but they didn't, and for the floor joist, and that's why the insulation's kind of pooching down. That one fell. That one over there looks like it's kind of hanging. That one's hanging. There's no little wires like this on them. I'm surprised those haven't fallen out yet. So made a list, make sure I get those wires at the store. You could probably buy a bundle of these at the store, you know, like that. And if you can't find those in the insulation area, maybe you go someplace like a T-bar ceiling area where they have those long wires that hold up the T-bar ceiling. You can cut some of those. They're a little bit stiffer than these. If you wanted to do that, you could do that. If you can't find these, let's say. So anyways, I'm looking over here. Here's more. Look at all that wood there. That's just a termite feast. And you know, so far I do not see any termite activity around, and that's a good thing. But I'm gonna still clean up all this stuff. That's ridiculous. And see this insulation in this wall. There's some bits and pieces of insulation, then there's some that's missing up in here, along here. Well, this wall only goes up to here. The floor is from here up. They didn't even necessarily have to put insulation on this wall. They had extra and they decided, hey, let's just put it in here. See, this is a little storage area before going outside, and that, yes, that had to be done because that's the floor up above that. And in fact, that's a deck up there. They didn't even necessarily have to put insulation up there, but they did. And I might make this little area a man cave sometime later on down the road, and if I do, I'll make videos of all that. See, there's insulation on that wall, so I'd have to put some more insulation on here, and so I might as well, I'll probably end up putting insulation in here. But if you weren't, and if you decided you didn't need this insulation, okay, I could have taken some of that and shoved up above in between where those pipes were, but then, you know, this insulation is not as wide, I don't think. Maybe it is. Yeah, see, right there, this is measured to fit in between 16-inch centers, and so this insulation is smaller, 14.5. The stuff that they used up here in between is a full 16 inches because the TGI is only 3/4 of an inch and 3/4, or 5/8 and 5/8, and it's a compression fitting in there, so it wouldn't fit anyway. So scratch that idea for insulation. Up above where those pipes were over there, and I'll get the right insulation, and I'm measuring and dabbing nabbit. When I was up in the attic, or the basement area underneath the floor, on that last video, I forgot to measure the insulation. I measured how wide it was and how thick the opening area is, and I forgot to measure the lengths. And so I'm gonna have to crawl back up there and measure it, because once I get all the insulation, it comes in bag form. And so I looked at the insulation down there, and that insulation that was propped down is only 5.5 inches thick, and these TGI joists are 12 inches deep, and the ones underneath the other floor area were 9.5 deep. And so I'll have to look at those, and I think all the insulation that they put down here was 5.5 inches thick, and even in the other area. But I'll have to check that, because at the store you can get insulation that, you know, 5.5 inches thick, and you can even get it thicker. You for different R factors, like usually they'll put something thicker than that up in the ceiling nowadays. They might even have it 8, 9, 9.5 inches thick or something like that. You get different R values. Okay, so that's something you might want to check if you're going to start replacing or adding some insulation to your existing. Measure what you've got and at least do that. And see where it's 12 inches deep over there, the thickness of the TJIs. I'm not going to buy insulation that's 12 inches thick if the existing was only 5.5 inches thick, plus plus those pipes, those insulated pipes that go along there, they're up inside that cavity, so I only have a thick cavity of about 9 inches. So I'll have to make a determination on that. And you see these pipes here, and they've got this threaded here. This is for earthquake resistance, and they ended up having to do that, and per code. And it just depends how you're building your house, what area you live in, and what types of things you have to do. But anyways, I thought one of these was loose. Yeah, see this nut right there? Look, see there? I shouldn't be able to do that. Oh, the whole thing is twisting. So see, I could come back here and tighten that up if I wanted. This one's loose too. See how it's spinning? This nut is loose on the top one. My word. And I've got a big crescent wrench, spanner wrench for that, and I can probably do something with that. Okay, so man, all these different things that I've checked so far. Here's my air conditioning flexible tubing, and that's going up. It looks like it's all hooked up okay. It's strapped up properly. Sometimes these could come apart. So this looks really good. This house is like 19 years old, and it looks like they've done a pretty good job on that. But I'll still check it. Look, here's another one that's loose, and this one's loose. This one's loose. What the heck? This one's loose. Those nuts are twisting there, so I'll have to tighten that up. I'll probably check all of these next time I come down here. But see, this is the next area we're going to get in here, and we'll look at this and see what we've got going. Okay, stick around. I hope you're learning some good things. Oh, I'm glad that's over with. Hey, that's all I got for this time. But I'll be back with more videos.